Hey, how you doing? This is Steve Hodge. We're building. All right, I'm here every week talking to some phenomenal people about phenomenal things. I always start behind me is a print. Jean-Michel Basquiat, 1983, King brand. It makes me feel awesome. All right. Now, in solidarity, I got two brothers with me. We all got on all black. I got the Marvin Gaye, brothers. There's no more for that. So, boom, I got that. Down here, I got my man Hungry. All right. You guys have no idea, but this shirt that he has on is a part of his clothing brand. All right. Stay Hungry Cloth. All right. I listen, I've been trying to purchase some stuff too. Every time it comes around to me, you know what I mean? The manly mediums are always gone. Like, I got European shoulders, man. I got European shoulders. I need the manly medium. All right. All right. Up top, G. How you doing, my friend?
Perfect, man. Yeah.
Father, author. Get into some of this stuff. We'll make sure that we let you guys know how you can find both of these gentlemen in their perfect spaces, moving and shaking as they are. But today, listen, I can't say that any of us are quote unquote famous. You know what I mean? And this is not one of those moments where I'm coming to you like that. I'm coming to you because I'm not doing okay. And I reached out to my brother Hungry, who I haven't seen in years. We keep in contact via social media, but we spent some time. And brother Gene up here, who has been obviously on my mind, but more than anything, it's about where we're at. I'm in Los Angeles. Gene's out in Atlanta, and Hungry's out in Harlem, New York. So at the end of the day, we're seeing and smelling this from different pieces of the world. And I think it's good to have a conversation. I'm not, I don't know all things black. I don't know all things, political. But I do know that I've been on this earth for 40 years and I've seen a few things and my spirit ain't right, my mind ain't right, and I'm doing a lot in this moment. Gentlemen, how are y'all doing?
I'll let Humphrey go first on that one. That might take a while.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm about the same space as you are, Steve. Not okay. Things for me now though have started to veer more off into a place of anger more than they are before. Was a lot of disappointment, a lot of sadness, and it's still that. But it's really getting to a point where our anger is more so overtaking those other emotions. And you just try to. I don't know. It's confusing at the same time too, because you don't want to let it consume you. Because that's not the right energy to actually have either. I mean, on day to day, just when you're interacting with people in general. But I mean, it's difficult. You know what I mean? Everything that transpires, the more it adds on. It's really hard to remove yourself from that place.
Yeah, yeah. I can't say no better than that. Gene, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, man. I would echo the same sentiment. I think today I'm in a much better space today. I would say about 3 days ago, I was completely overwhelmed, I think, with emotion, completely overwhelmed and feeling very disempowered with what am I going to do next? I felt disempowered with the way I was feeling in the first place. Like I was almost out of control because I couldn't I couldn't even understand how to get my head wrapped around all the emotions that I was having. And I think today, right now, at least for as we're talking, yeah, I'm in a much better space now. But it takes work and process for me anyway to be calm and where I am right now. It's work. You know, it's hurtful. I'm hurt. I'm
Yeah.
hurt.
I think without trying to get too deep, I told my wife, who allowed me to vent for a moment, and I told her I don't really stand any place other than the place of take care of my family and love and respect my creator. But as a black man in this moment, I've been around the world a couple of times. Played a little ball. So I lived in different countries for a little while, and you get a different perspective, you get a different taste. You see how people view you, and not just how they view you, how they view where you come from, and it totally, opened me up, so to say, as far as my mind, just thinking about this. But in this direct moment, I find myself having to dig myself, what I mean, from that. I keep saying it, from that dark place and trying to stay in the light, like you're just trying to stay above water. And I think because we have children, it's Friday, there's really nowhere to run. You can't get a moment to yourself, you know, to just take some time to process, put on some music. So I feel like, all jokes aside, I expressed it to my wife, in that direct moment, I can feel myself being Martin. I can feel how Malcolm felt. I can feel how radical Huey and Bobby Seale, you know, Huey Newton and Bobby Seale felt. And I was saying to myself, oh my goodness, nobody was wrong. They were all living in a moment and they expressed different ways through different moments. And I'm saying to myself also, you know, here we are to 2020. We keep talking about how we've advanced, how we progressed. No, we haven't. It just looks different. And when you're 40, you know, you're trying to be a dad, you're trying to be the, you know, the disciplinarian, you're trying to be the strong one. And now my wife is telling me, I fear for you, you know, because here we are, you know, I've said it, you know, the police, in so many words, they're running up the scoreboard. You can't even keep track of what's going on. So trying to, you know, process these emotions, trying to have the emotional wherewithal to go from, you know, get from day to day, hour to hour, moment to moment. For me, I'm all over the place. And generally speaking, I'm usually solid. You know, I'm not too high, I'm not too low, I'm usually solid. But I can't even really conduct business right now. I've had to avoid a couple phone calls because I'm like, listen, I'm not even in that space. I don't have anything for you. So, you know, the title of this show, guys, I threw it out there is, what now? You know what I mean? You know, I don't have the answers. You know, I don't have much. I live with a woman. I live with my 2 children. And I reach out to my family and friends, and no one really has a quote unquote answer.
You ain't got the answers, man.
And as I, you know, alluded to before, you know, gentlemen that we spoke of, Martin, Malcolm, Huey, you know, me, Bobby, they didn't have the answers. So here we are, 2020, New York, Atlanta, LA. What now, fellas? What's next?
No, I was just gonna. I mean, there's a lot I think that we have to consider when we consider what's next. First, I would say that I don't, you know, and you know what? I'm not going to be politically correct, Steve. I'm just going to tell you. So, so I mean, I don't necessarily condone the violence and the looting and the destruction. I don't necessarily condone it. I wouldn't necessarily encourage it.
Your message, however, has taken a violent tone here, and we don't hear the mention of George Floyd's name.
I will say completely, I understand though. Mm-hmm. Completely understand. Because when you are a part of a race that's been disenfranchised, just completely destroyed from day one, and we continually, this past couple of weeks is not the first that has happened. I mean, this happened, this is a cycle. This is a cycle of violence against our race that continues to happen. And what do? We have a rally, we have a march, we have a protest, and then we see the same thing after it dies down, you know, in another month or two, doing the same exact thing all over again. And it's like nobody has even been punished, or nobody's even gotten the message, or nobody even cares. Right. Like you said, somebody's keeping score. So when you say what's next, I would say, for me, I have to consider, I explained it to somebody like this the other day. I say, right now, we are so far deep into the forest, we can't even see the trees. We can't see the trees. So that forest is just that emotion that we feel right now, that the 3 of us are saying, man, I'm having a hard time dealing with this emotion because I'm caught up in it in the forest with all the other emotions that I have. So in my opinion, I can't jump to the end of the story as to what is the fix or how do we correct this. I have to start with step 1, which is let me step back out of the forest so I can actually see the trees and I can put this whole entire thing into context and then make a decision on what is going to be next. And here's the thing, I'm not knocking us as a race, but so many times we're looking for a savior to come and fix it. You know, I heard somebody say, where's all the black leaders right now? Where's all the preachers? Where's all the people that, you know, where's all our people to come in and be a voice for us? In my opinion, that's not the way this works. Not in 2020. That's not the way, not one person. It's a collective of people. It's a collective of voices, not one person, not one Malcolm or not one Martin. This has to be a collection of consciousness to make a decision that, okay, I've had enough of that. What am I going to do? What is Gene going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? What is Hungry going to do in order to make change for your own world? Because when you do that, when I do that, then it becomes a collective effort, and I don't have to depend on you to do it. I just know that you're doing it. I'm doing it too. We're gonna push this thing forward to where we want it to be. But for right now, my only first step I can do is step away from the forest, man. I have to look at the trees and step to collect my own consciousness. That's what I
I get it. Hungry, man. What's the energy like in New York right now? What is it like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like?
It's tense, but it's not. It hasn't gotten obviously to where Minneapolis is, and even where Atlanta has gone so far. Like, hasn't gotten there, and I think that's a concerted effort. Think by powers that be. I think you probably seen even it's kind of going viral now. The press conference that Cuomo had with the governor here, and he was pretty much condemning what happened in Minneapolis. And I think that's because he knows if he doesn't do something like that, he's just trying to get ahead of the curve. You know what I mean? And kind of calm the people down here. But you gotta remember, this is also coming off of the hills. We already had situations here with COVID. That was going viral with where they were doing people that weren't wearing masks.
Right.
Taking right to the ground, later kneeling on him as officers try to handcuff him.
So to speak. So that already has been an issue. A lot of people have been coming at de Blasio, which is obviously the mayor here, who has definitely been slacking on his job, to say the least. And Cuomo has stepped up, in a big way. But it hasn't, like I said, they've been starting to protest like by the Barclays Center. You see like a little bit of friction, but it hasn't gotten too crazy yet.
Yeah, we spoke earlier, offline. I was just suggesting, Gene, to Hungry. I was like, somebody posed a question to me like, yo, are we sitting dead smack in the middle of the revolution? Now, it sounds good. It was a deep question, but I thought about it and I was like, what's the tipping point? What will it take? What will it take? And I'm sitting here thinking about it like, oh my goodness. And that's why I called you, Hungry. I'm just thinking about some days. But you've been sitting in the house. For some people like me, I'm fine. I'm good. I got my family. I can still work. We're generating a fraction of the money that we did, but we're also putting out a fraction of the cost just to operate. So I'm okay. My wife still works. I see my kids every day and I'm not sitting in LA traffic, as you know well about Gene. So, I'm good. I'm saying to myself, you catch people sitting in a home in their homes, tired, running through Netflix, just bored out of their mind. And then not even counting, people don't think about this out west. East Coast, when you're cold for 6 months out of the year, when it get warm, you're trying to get outside. And they telling you no, that's a thing. That's a big thing. And then you add, the whole COVID-19 and the fears and the uncertainty, because I believe this is the worst leadership that I've ever seen on the face of the earth at any time. So you get the bad leadership, you get the divisive leadership, you get COVID-19, you get people ready to get out of the house, you get the cops running up the numbers the way they're doing in New York. You got stuff popping off in Minneapolis, Arbery out in rural Georgia. You got, what happens when Chicago, Detroit, New York, LA, Atlanta, what happens when it all explodes at the same time? Because it's feeling like people are reaching that point where they're sick of talking. And we talked about this, we keep saying Malcolm and Martin. It seems that when you're peaceful, you get your head knocked off. When you strap up, you get your head knocked off. When am I Gandhi? And when am I strapping up? Like, you have no idea what to do anymore. And I think that's what's really getting to me. So I have to ask you guys, what do you think about the perfect storm? Are we getting close to this tipping point?
I believe that we are. To be honest, I felt that way for the past few years now. And it's like, I just think that with every incident that happens, it's just going to get that way, because you also, too, you got to, think about, this is a younger generation. We're dealing with, not even speaking of us, but the kids that are younger than us, the millennials, and even the generation after them. There's a little more bit of a recklessness, I would say. And I also would say that there's been a lack of, teaching from OGs, and because a lot of it to do with systemic racism and the way that Black fathers have been taken from homes, that there isn't those lessons being passed down. So a lot of them are misguided, and they're gonna act on things before putting a thought to it, so to speak. And also you talk about the history with Malcolm, with Martin. It's like you see that you have a track record in the history of that. You see where it's gotten us. Though it's gotten us far, it's nowhere near far enough. So as a person now in this day and age, it's like, why would I do that again, right? Like, that's not going to get me where I want to go. Like, I need to try something else. I need to be a little maybe more radical than they were. And I think, honestly, to even go back to what you were saying earlier about how to fix it, I obviously don't have the answers either, but I do think we need a mix of all of those things. I don't think it needs to be all Malcolm, but it can't be all Martin either, right? Because it can't be turning your other cheek over and over and over, because like you said, they just running the numbers up. At some point, there's going to be no cheeks to turn. Like, we're not going to be here anymore. So there has to be some sort of pushback, but also you got to attack it from an economic standpoint. Because I think even past racism, I think classism is above racism now, because even if you're white with no money, they don't really care about you either. They're going to treat you the same way they treat anybody else. So you may have a slight more advantage just because of your skin color, but when it comes down to it, it comes down to money. So
families. As a result, today, for every $100 of wealth held by a white family, Black families have $5.04.
So I think we have to, do a better job of passing down those jewels, to our people in our community, our kids, cousins, friends, whoever, and attack things from that standpoint too, because that makes one of the biggest differences in the world.
Absolutely. I just want to chime in on that too. I mean, the fact is, I agree. As far as tipping points go, real talk, that's the way I felt about 3 days ago when I was like, felt like I was at my wit's end. That's what I told my wife. And I'm like, okay, let me gather myself and see what's about to happen next, because, I can't go out here. I'm married and got 3 kids in this house. I'm not going to go out here and, start shooting people. I mean, that's just, that's not going to be conducive to my family, but I like what you're saying, Harvey, because I think that it does come down to economics. And I was reading something to my kids the other day. I was telling them about, during the civil rights movement and when they had the boycott of the buses in Montgomery, and Black people were dependent on mass transit to get to and from their jobs, whatever they were working. And we decided that we were not going to ride the bus, and held strong to that for 12 months, for a year. We didn't ride the bus. And guess what? It was such an economic disruption. They had no choice but to make a different type of move. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he was like, hey man, did you see what they did in Minneapolis to that Target? They tore it up, they burnt it up, they took everything. I said, yeah, but how about we say we're not gonna go to Target at all?
But I think right now we're too spread out as a people. Our ways of thinking, our ways of operating, our thoughts on education, our thoughts on family, our thoughts on health are so spread out that we really don't know what to grab onto.
And the issue is we've been trying to assimilate to another world that is not our own. And this is part of the reason why we are lost, because you're looking to assimilate to something that doesn't really belong to you. You're saying, yes, I want to fit my square peg into this particular round hole, and it simply does not work that way.
Yeah.
Clearly, we're here in this country. We're going to live together. We're going to all get along. That's the idea anyway. And I'm not saying we need to go back to Africa, but I'm saying, understand, we don't know who we truly are. Therefore, we don't know how to truly talk to us either.
Big facts. I was coaching at an Armenian private school for 3 years. Now, it's a private school, which means that they own it. It's their money, and it's funded by, the Armenian people, and, AGBU being that, that entity. And it's a huge deal. When you're there for 3 years and you're loving on these kids and you're teaching them, your values, you're also seeing the difference between how they live and how we live. Now, I do believe that there are times when I would say to my wife, I wish they would be more open-minded. And then I think about it, in regards to us. I'm like, man, if we could have our own schools, man, if we could get it together and put up our money together and do it like this. These kids go to the same birthday parties. They go to the same churches. If they need to call a lawyer, they call a lawyer within their community. I bet you that dollar stays in the community for a long time. And so I'm, just adding more over to what you're saying. I think I really believe that we've got a long way to go. And I also believe, like I said, we've been so spread out. It's like we're trying to play a game with, sometimes you have a ball, but you don't have a field. And sometimes you got a field, but you don't have a coach. And sometimes you get a good coach, but the players suck. It's like, give us an equal footing or not give us. We got to go get it.
I mean, that's why I was speaking to, the economic aspect of it. Like, I feel like that's such a huge piece, and I feel like it ties into what you're saying and what I was really meaning. We have to rely more on each other. Like, stop looking for inclusion in other places. Like you said, you shouldn't have to go be hired by another community, university, or school. Like, you should be able to come in our community or even have your own institution, right? Like, we should be pouring into each other constantly. And I think, obviously, economic, just literacy and responsibility is something that definitely needs to be taught, even coming down to credit. But I mean, even one of the things that we can do really overnight and the change would be so drastic so quickly is just to support more Black businesses, buy Black more often. You know what I mean? And then you have to be also a little more patient, with us. Be patient with your brother and with your sister, because the reality is, and this is the problem, we get so caught. I think G might have said it earlier, but you get caught up in the moment and you don't think about the entire scope. But it's like, when you see this brother with this new business, you might go in and you might have a bad experience for whatever reason. Maybe, the food might have came out, too cold, or if the clothing store, it wasn't folded the way you wanted it folded. But a lot of these people, we learn it on the fly, right? Like, it's no handbook. Like, a lot of our fathers, brothers, uncles weren't business owners, weren't doctors, weren't lawyers, especially our grandparents, because not so long ago, this was civil rights. So we still fresh coming off of the hills of that. We still have connections to people who were living directly in those times. So a lot of stuff that we're doing is kind of trial and error, right? So you got to be a little more patient. If you get a bad experience with, somebody's business, give them a shot. Go patronize them again. Maybe 3 times just to see, because you have to, again, just because it's your brother and you want to be working towards something, right? It's like, at the end of the day, I still see people buying Gucci, right? So it's like, you keep giving them chances, you know what I mean? You keep giving everybody else chances. Why not give your brother a chance who can actually help to contribute and uplift where we're trying to go?
Real true story, just to piece that together. True story. We got to move on. True story. I live in Inglewood, and boy, do I love it. Boy, do I love it. Lived with North Hollywood for 4 years. Then we moved out here, so it's been about 4 or 5 years. Son born here. Daughter goes to school here. I love it. Being around my people, and we don't get the credit that we deserve. But there was a moment I had to, how you have the fingerprinting places. And there's a sister, she got her own spot. She sells books. Everything you need is in there. And it said fingerprint. I went there. Time said it was going to be open at this time. And it wasn't quite open yet. All right, I'm going to sit in the car. I'm going to sit in the car for a second, run an errand. I'll be back. So I came back and it was open. Good sister. And, it's down. The system is down. Just give me a minute. I said, you know what? I got to pick my daughter up. I'll be back. Come back the 3rd time, honey. And at this time, I'm like, I got to go. So to your point, you're right. You got to be more patient. I did go back 3 times, but I ended up having to go over. I needed that fingerprint to get done, but I understand what you're saying. Just to add some humor to it, because it does seem, what we're talking about is really heavy. But moving on, fellas, we're talking a lot about, what's going on between COVID-19, what's happening in Atlanta, New York, LA, Minneapolis, what the cops are doing, how the community is treating us, terrible leadership up top. What do we do with our families? Now, the reason I'm asking this question, you guys got social media, you guys got the internet, you know what it looks like, all right? At the end of the day, there's so much imagery out there, and there's so many things that we're looking at. And I seen a picture of a gentleman and his family, real family. his wife, his kids, and he had a baby in his arm, and they was all strapped. And in my head, I'm saying, how far are we from that? How radical is that? How crazy is that? And I told my wife, because I'm just like, look, man, I'm trying. I'm really trying here, but I don't know what to do. Am I out of line I don't want to radicalize the minds of my beautiful children. You know what I mean? But I also can't act like my 10-year-old daughter don't know what's going on. She ain't stupid. She got Wi-Fi, and she be in her room with the door closed. She ain't always playing Roblox. She ain't always on it. So I know what it is. So I try my best to be up front. You know what I mean? Cover her, but I try to be up front. How do we protect our families? How do we do it? Do we strap up? Do we, you know what I mean? I know you guys, you know, I'm serious. Like, I'm really serious. Do I gotta go strap up? You know what I mean? With the Bible in my arm? Do I gotta strap up with the Quran? You know, and you know what I mean? Strap to me. Like, how do I do this? How do I navigate these waters as a young man living in Inglewood and you know, Los Angeles, trying to take care of my family? We're in COVID-19, so it's not like I've been out in the world like that. I only see the images that's coming on my TV and the grocery store that I go to, so I eat with my mask on, and I'm just like, how it's getting closer. And I say it, I mean the unrest, because it's in my house, because I have moments of unrest. And if I'm having it, other people are having it. How do I take care of my family and protect my family?
I'm a little 50-50 on that one, man, to be honest. I'm kind of getting to a place, and it's funny you say that because I had the same thoughts. It's like, I think I might need to, you know, one, myself, become more acclimated and educated with handguns, you know, and get to a place where I'm teaching my son, not just to have a gun willy-nilly and go out, you know what I mean, but to just for really to have the education and knowledge base, just for if that time should ever so come, right? And it's like, not even in our communities, right? Because first and foremost, because even if you're a person that doesn't want to go that route, I do think we still should be training, like constant training and training our kids in some kind of discipline, fight-wise, whether it's boxing, martial arts, whatever the case may be. Obviously, those things see discipline in general, just in life, but you also just want to be, again, like I said, prepared. I just can't, with all the things that's been happening, I just can't put nothing past anyone. And I really feel like it might take some form of drastic pushback before things really change. Because it just seems like you said, the unrest, it just seems like it's not going anywhere. It only adds on more and more. It may seem like it calms down for a minute, but it really doesn't, because once another thing happens, you see how quickly, right, our blood starts boiling and our reaction is. That's because it never went anywhere. And I mean, kind of speaking back to what Gene was saying, there hasn't been any atonement. There's been no apologizing, right? There's been, like, we're still 3/5 human, right? Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? So it's like, and even when you come across certain people, especially, I mean, you guys, even in the cities you're in, because you're in major cities, but I know here a lot of New York, come across people, there's a sense of entitlement, right? People walk around, their nose in the air, and it's like, you know, and you hear these comments all the time, oh my God, you guys still complaining about slavery, and all. It's like, you know, I mean, like, for real. So it's like, it's hard to really see that the change is going to come any other way, but I do understand what you're saying, because I don't want to fall in that place either, right? Like, I don't want to necessarily, like you said, realize my child, but I don't want to be caught slipping at the same time either, right? So it's like, yeah.
You know,
you in Georgia, you got to see it a whole different way.
Yeah, because down here, you know what? We were in California up until 2 years ago, and so we were in Southern California. We were in Orange County, which is can't get much more white than that, right? So coming out here was definitely a big change, you know. I mean, and you see a lot of racism up front in your face kind of thing out here. I had a buddy of mine, he said, what do we do? How do we raise our children in this kind of environment? What do we tell them? You know, I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day who went to the gun store, okay? And he told me about this story that he went there, and he said he's talking to the guy, white guy, and he said that, hey, he couldn't find what he was looking for. So he asked the guy, you know, hey, well, are you expecting a shipment? Are you just sold out of stuff? What's going on? The guy told him directly, he said he's already feeling some kind of feeling with this dude that like he didn't really want him in the store, okay? Like it was like a racial kind of situation. It was, he didn't feel comfortable because they didn't really want to talk to him. They wasn't really trying to readily help him, that kind of thing, right? When he asked him the question, the guy says, well, white guy, with all the things that's going on around here, everybody's been buying up all the guns. We haven't seen a run on guns like this in over 30 years. What that said to me was, I know us. Typically, we're not necessarily going into the store. I mean, I'm just saying in my experience. Maybe I'm saying too much. But
protect it. Hey, protect yourself, man.
Right. But I mean, it said to me, I know that typically we're not that person running into the store to buy up a bunch of guns. So that's saying to me that somebody else is prepared.
Yep.
Which makes me wonder, well, dang, I might be late to the game. If they are sold out, ammunition is bought up, they can't even hardly find anything. So to answer your question, should I strap up? Man, it makes you scratch your head, because if my buddy's telling me they are sold out and they have no other idea when the next shipment is coming in because everything is bought already, that should be a wake-up call to say something. I'm not advocating it. Right. I'm saying that you need to be aware. And so for how I'm raising my children and telling my three boys is I'm trying to make them aware. I'm not telling, like you said, I don't want to radicalize them against, racial type issues or whatever, but I need them to be aware. So so you're not in la la land somewhere playing a video game and don't understand the dynamics of this country and what's actually happening right now. The other thing, I sat down with them, my wife and I sat down with them the other day and said this. We said, okay, we talked all about those three scenarios, right? The three things that have happened recently. The brother who was shot here jogging, the brother in Minnesota, the lady Brianna that got her door kicked in and shot. We talked to them about these things, again, to keep them aware, and I told them, I don't want you to be fearful. I don't want you to have fear. Don't fear any man on this planet at all. But it doesn't mean that you got to be, like you're the toughest thing walking down the street either. I just simply want you to be secure and confident with who you are. Be that. And then the second thing I told him, I said, when I was a kid, when your mom was a kid, we was taught, hey, go to college, go to school, go to college, graduate from college, get a good job, and you'll be successful. That's the way that we were socialized and taught. And I told them that the other day. This is what we talk about often in our house. But I said, hey, we're going to switch gears a little bit. Going to school is wonderful. Sure, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But I don't want you to go to school to get a paycheck from somebody else.
Yeah.
I want you to learn what you need to learn so you can create your own. Create your own wealth. Create your own space. And yeah, if they got to come to my kid's store 3 times because he ain't doing it right, so be it. But it'll be your own. It'll be your own. And that way you're not dependent. You're not trying to assimilate. You're not trying to be somebody who you are not in that corporate environment, because that's not really what you are feeling. That's not really what you're passionate about. So, this is this is how we are teaching our kids on how to be and how to move in this environment. Be independent, be confident, be prideful of who you are. Be matter of fact. You're not afraid, but at the same time, you're not about to get run over either.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's having that balance.
Yeah, I love it. I got 2 more questions, fellas. I ain't gonna monopolize your time too much. I got one for you guys. So listen, all right, we talked about COVID, we talked about our leadership, we talked about the riots, we talking about the cops running up the store with regional. I know, forgive my naivety, all right, forgive me. But for a moment it felt like, as a black man, that we had to watch our back. We had to be careful. My father had to talk with me. I remember being in his car and being pulled over, and I don't smoke. Hungry to tell you that was never my thing. I was a hooper. I mean, anything that's going to take away. I remember we all got our stories with the cops. I got a couple. But that woman in Central Park, it did something to me. It lit something different, because of course I'm aware of what's going on. I'm 40 years old. I lived in conservative Connecticut for half of my life, and then moved to LA and then been over to, different countries and living. I know what it is. You know what I mean? Her weaponizing her knowledge of who we are and how authorities feel and treat us, it scared me like a ghost. Like it put the fear of God in me. And it took away the idea that, like Malcolm Gladwell, Talking to Strangers, incredible book, read it, it's amazing. He talks about the idea of Black people and white people coming from a whole different planet. So when they collide into these moments, there's two different worlds coming and they don't even know each other. They've never seen it. They don't know what it smells like. And here, the only thing that can happen is a cataclysmic, somebody got to go. And I'm thinking about that. I'm saying, well, they don't know us. Why is it that they don't know us? They love our culture. They love our sports. They wear the jerseys, the sneakers. Kids getting taper fades now. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? They want to say the words. They want to, you know what I mean? They're buying the music because we, you know what I mean? I'm just like, wait, that can't be true. They do know us because she understood, how dare you come at me? I'm not even upset anymore. I can get you going. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to do with that, y'all. Yeah. I'm keeping it 100. There ain't no question in this. Y'all can respond how y'all want to respond. I didn't know what to do with that. Yeah. If there is not another camera phone there, what happens? Forget about Harvard. Forget about everything that he accomplished. Forget about all of that. What happens if there's not another phone?
Oh, the police come and they Rodney King him. That's what happens, because they're going to come and show up. He's the Black man who is scaring our precious white woman, and therefore he must be disciplined. That's what was going to happen, And I think that the overall deal with that, you're right, Steve, that was disturbing to me. Yes. Because what I saw, and my children, somebody said, it might have been you or Hunter said earlier, my kids are watching stuff, they're seeing this stuff even before I've had a conversation with them.
Yeah.
They'd be on TV or internet, whatever it is. I heard my middle son having a conversation with his little brother about it the other day. We hadn't even talked about it yet. So, which prompted me to say, okay, we need to have that conversation. Yeah. What actually happened in that situation? And you're right, she weaponized race. She took her unconscious bias and made it very much so a conscious action against a Black man who was simply doing what he needed to do, watching birds, asking her to put the leash on her dog because that's what the sign says. And for her to use that in that type of way, again, I think it's important for us to make our kids aware. This is how they are looking at you. I'm taking a broad stroke. Not everybody, but I say to them, this is how they are looking at you. So be aware of that. Don't get too comfortable in that space to where you think that we're all equal. There is no equality in America. There's not. There's simply not. And I don't expect it to be. Therefore, you have to blaze your own trail for yourself and do for yourself, do for your own community, handle that for your community. Because nobody else is going to be looking for you. Even if they're shaking your hands and kissing your babies, listen, the unconscious bias is always there. The lack of atonement, the guilt, the fear is always there. Always. So be aware of that, And I was so proud of the brother when he pulled out his phone and he was talking to her as calm as we're talking on this broadcast right now. Hey, you want to call the police? Yeah, okay, do what you need to go do. That's fine. Do it. And she's in complete hysteria. The dog is getting choked up. It's crazy.
I live in Cali. Those animal rights people ate her alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but man, again, it just comes back to a place where it's difficult. I definitely commend the brother too for being calm, because that's me. I don't have the same energy.
You ain't gonna be the same, right?
Yeah, man, because it's getting to a point now where, again, like I said, it is becoming too much. And then you have, on top of everything else that's going on, you have your own personal experience. And even it's like the subtle thing, right? You're dealing with business, right? And different things. You see opportunities being passed a certain way because of how you look and your skin color and people communicate with you or underestimate, right? And social intelligence, maybe. This is little subtleties that kind of bother me, more so on top of everything else. And so when it comes to stuff like that, it's like zero tolerance sometimes. Because it's like, look, we're not going to play this game today, right? Like, I don't want to be the guy that you're going to sit here, like you said, weaponize my color against me. Because, I mean, especially when you know who you are, right? Like, I'm not even the type of person that would put you in danger. Like, I'm not even thinking about you.
Right.
And for you to try to make a phone call. And again, like you said, she does know, but maybe she doesn't know that phone call can lead to him dying, right? Like that phone call.
She weaponized it. I think she weaponized that idea. Pardon me. This is happening in real time. Public safety alert. The city of Los Angeles is declaring that a curfew will be in place from 8 p.m. tonight to 5:30 a.m. tomorrow for the entire city of Los Angeles. Traveling to and from work, seeking or giving emergency care, and emergency responders are exempt. This is happening in real time. This hit my phone like an Amber Alert.
Wow.
So these are real times that we're living in, and I'm glad that we're having this conversation. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but it just shows you the realness of what this is right now. Lastly, fellas, if you look, I'm 40. Which means I always tell people I'm an 80s baby, which means that I was raised by 60s, people from the 60s and 70s. There's certain things that you take from that generation that's above you. My mother, my father, and people who raised you, that aunts, uncles, how you feel about, everything from how you dress, how you cut your hair, the girl you select, how you move, so to speak. And in that world, I don't want to go down this road. It's not where I'm going with it, but I'm starting to recognize at 40 that there's been a level of disturbing masculinity, even in me. And the thing that caught me and slapped me across the face and made me literally, sorry, it is what it is. This is authentic. It is what it is. So, really quick, you a New Yorker. So y'all was saying this 20 years ago when nobody else was saying it. I'm talking about the idea of toxic masculinity, trying to keep it at bay. The moment that I recognized that I was dealing with it, and everything was paused, everything was no homo, everything was, you know what I mean? And then I kept hearing, the last couple of years, king has permeated our culture, and amongst Black men. And I was telling Gene that I struggle with the idea of another man who is my equal being called king, when the only person that I call king is my creator. So I struggle with that. So I would hear dudes say it, but I was convicted in my spirit. I'm sitting down one day and I was telling Gene that I was like, what do we call each other? What do we generally call each other? And I was like, wow. So I was like, you know what? I heard somebody say it and I tried it. I tried it and it felt right. It felt right. You know what I mean? It wasn't, I'm like, you're not my king, but you are a king. In your home, your daughter, your son, your wife sees you as a valuable commodity that they look up to and admire and look to protect them. In your job or what you do at your small business, how you move, people see you in a certain light. And I think us brothers, we really struggle with that because we are naturally competitive. You're an MC. That is a competitive sport. No one is greater than I. You know what I mean? The most said word in hip hop is the word I.
Right.
Facts, right? So Gene was breaking it down, the dynamic of the use of the word king, which I now adopt. Go ahead, Gene.
And I love it. And Hung, I want to hear some of your spit too, by the way, before it's all over.
Yo, he can go.
I believe that. You look like it. But the thing is, when you think about what you feel like when the way that you are addressed, right? So forgive me. So if I met you on the street, I'm like, what's up, my nigga?
Right.
A certain way. If I address you, my brother, how are you? You feel a different type of way than you did when I said the first thing, right? So it's really about setting the stage for what you see that person as, and then helping them to see themselves as what you see them as.
Yeah.
If we can all contribute to that space, then I will start to look at myself in a different type of way. I won't start to look at myself all the time as, yeah, that's my nigga, and I'm going to act like that accordingly.
Right.
It's what I'm called all of the time. Now, I understand it's a term of endearment between us. I get that. However, when we're looking to rise above, maybe we should use a different vernacular so we can set a different stage and different expectation mentally. So I can receive you for who you are or who you are striving to be. Maybe you're not the king yet, but if I address you that way, then you feel a certain type of way mentally to say, I need to strive for a little bit higher. So I'm gonna my behavior based on how you're treating me, what you're calling me.
Yep.
So I love what you're saying. I love it.
Hungry, you got to speak to it because y'all was on this years ago. Peace,
Yeah.
you know, and Gene, they was coming in with it. That blew my mind. Because even over when I played over in England, I remember going to a club in London, and the first way they come in is respect, bro. Respect. You know what I mean? Same as respect. King. I was like, oh, they let you know right off rip. You know what I mean? They letting you know right off rip. I'm coming at you correctly. You know what I mean? So they dismantle you. They unarm you with respect. And this right here, I struggle with it. But y'all been on it for years, man. Speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, even if you want to think back, 90s, it was started becoming a thing like even peace, Lord, or what's good, Lord, or God. You know what I'm saying? Like that still goes on too, especially people that are in like the 5% community or who are God body. But I think I never was really conflicted with the king, but I definitely think that it's something that's needed. You know, like speaking to what you're saying, like it disarms people. Speaking to what Gene's saying, it's kind of like you want to, you know, rest for the job you want, right? Not necessarily the job you have. So it's about uplifting us, you know, and giving people a sense of, you know, you are more than what they think of you, right? You are more than what you saw. And then like even like not shameless plug, but the shirt I have on says beloved. So that's another term. That's why I use more so than the king, you know. I think because what's up, my nigga? I think that's something that's been ingrained in our language and culture forever. I'm not sure that's something I'm ever gonna stop saying, but I do try to limit, you know, the amount of times that I say it now in my life as I learn and grow more. So I like to replace it with words like beloved, like king, and I love to hear it from people when we're addressing each other. Because like you said, it's much more empowering. You know, it just feels much better.
Yeah, I dig it. So last but not least, fellas, I always like to end the way it's supposed to end, and that's giving flowers. And you know, that's a term of endearment, but it's a respect, you know, to the movements that you are, to the movers and shakers that you're becoming, the people's lives that you're speaking through your own movement. Stay hungry, cloth. I'm gonna get the book. I gotta make sure I get Gene Black's book. All right, from alignment to enlightenment, path to joy, and finish that, Gene. Finish that.
In peace.
Right. There it is. So I'm gonna make sure I get my hands on that as well. I would really appreciate if my man Hungry would stock up with more mediums, especially the sweaters, the sweaters with the tie joints. There's never no manly mediums. I told you I got European shoulders, man. I got European shoulders. I got a nice cut. You know, you understand? So I'm just like, you know, when I go to order and I see sold out, you know, out of stock, I'm just like, well, I'm trying to support. I'm trying to support. And I don't wear too many hats because I still got mine, you know, I still got it, huh? So I wear two hats. So I'm just like, yo,
day one, man.
more manly mediums. More manly mediums. But no, respect to you, brothers. I appreciate you coming together on short notice. I believe that we had this conversation on purpose. And I want to leave you gentlemen with the same thing. Call your brothers, call your family, check on them. I did that last night through a group chat, and they both got back to me, and I appreciate that. Check on your family, because we ain't all doing well. And we ain't got all the answers. Like I said, I'm not omniscient all things black or political, you know what I mean? But I've been on this earth for 40 years. I love who I am. I love my brothers. I love my sisters. We are in a real funky time right now. So stay prayed up. If you got to strap up, do that. You know what I mean? Protect your family, enlighten, educate, sleep good, eat good, get an hour of working, and love on each other, man. I appreciate you. We could have did this forever. So this is good energy, man.